Hello everyone and welcome back. So here I have a new series for you guys, which, as you can guess by the title already, is to do with the 52-week illustration challenge. This is my personal challenge. I have used the prompts that the original Facebook group had used or put up, meant for 2018, but they have disbanded. So I have decided to go and do this on my own for my own personal pleasure and learning experience, basically. So this is actually week 5. So as you can probably tell, I kind of didn't plan to film these, but the first ones are almost all of them are up here. There's only 2 missing. The portrait was for week 1 me, and I kind of used it that way. You can see them on my Facebook page. I will be uploading them into a folder called the 52-week illustration challenge. So this is my week 5 flight, and as you can tell here, it's a flamingo and a hot air balloon. It's supposed to be ironic because flamingos themselves can fly, so it's not like they need the help. But I just had this silly idea that one day a flamingo saw a hot air balloon, and he just liked the colors and the idea that he didn't have to do any hard work and he could still be up and have that feeling of the wind in his feathers and the freedom of flight without having to use his own wings. So that's where the idea popped in my head, and I just decided, okay, I'll run with it. And I did a few sketches in my sketchbook and different variations. At first I had 2 flamingos, and you could see the whole hot air balloon. I'm still kind of tempted to try that one maybe on a smaller scale. But they were both looking out of either side of the little, what is that thing, the basket, the hot air balloon basket, out of the sides and just looking at the clouds. So I might do that one at some point. I don't know. I say this a lot about my projects and they never end up happening, but let's see how time goes. So this is basically now catch up. I did one before for the 52-week challenge for flight of one of my penguins, of my Elvis, but I didn't like the way it turned out. I did it in acrylics in my sketchbook, and I just wasn't happy with it at all. The paper wasn't cooperating, and I just hadn't used acrylics in so long, so it looked terrible. So I decided I would redo it. But then what happened was I had a bit of a backup in the queue, and so I had the sketches ready in my sketchbook with ideas that I liked. I just never transferred them to watercolor paper and painted them. But the plan for now, at least, if I can get this going, is to play catch up, and I will be posting this one either today on Thursday or on tomorrow Friday. And then over the weekend I will be posting, what were the others? Let me see, next in the queue would be Map and Erie, and then over the weekend I would paint the current week which we are on, which is week 8, and it would be Ice. And then I would be up to speed, and then the next week I would just have to post 1 and not so many at once. So anyway, that's the idea, the plan, and let's see if I can pull that off. But anyway, as you can see here now, I'm going to actually talk about what I did in the piece. I wanted to use lots of bright colors because flamingos are a bright pink. I wanted to be very colorful, and the idea here was that I wasn't going to hardline anything. I was just going to use the watercolors in like an illustration style, kind of flat but very bright and vibrant. And I have to say, I actually kind of liked the way that this came out in the end. It wasn't exactly the way I had pictured, but that's probably just because of the fact that I haven't really practiced with this style before. I've always had the crutch of the hardline to kind of, help me visualize the image better at the end and feel like there's more detail. But yeah, I wanted to experiment with watercolors a bit more, since I feel like I am boxing myself into a specific style and not really branching out too much. So I wanted to give that a try. And actually, my boyfriend's cousin, Yolanda, and you can find her on Instagram if you'd like to follow her. I will throw the link up right here. She has this flat wash, or not really a flat wash, she has this method with watercolors where she doesn't need to ever hardline and everything just looks so beautiful. Her washes are so like smooth, and I really love her style, and I really need to pick her brain at some point about that. But so I got inspired by her style for this one to give it a go. I obviously got nowhere near to her skill level, but I still was kind of happy with how it came out. So just the inspiration alone was good enough for me. And I have to say the part that I'm happiest about is how my flamingo came out, because when I have to venture into new territory with painting different animals, I usually struggle at first to get the shape right. It takes a few runs, and then finally I get to a point where I'm somewhat satisfied. And yeah, I love flamingos. I've done them in the past, but I've done them using stippling, where I had way more control, and I loved the end result. And unfortunately, that piece that I did, which you can see on my Facebook page, it went to a company which is now closed down. So I will never see my baby again, which is so depressing. But I'm sure the owners were lovely people, so I'm sure they'll take good care of it and find a nice place on their wall for it. But yeah, so this was really another experiment. I'm loving the fact that I have so much stuff to experiment with, and now that I have these prompts from the 52-week illustration challenge, I feel like I can kind of, use that as a diving board for different methods and maybe even different, mediums, perhaps, if I feel brave enough. But I really do enjoy watercolor most, and I think for most of these, to get the effect that I'm wanting, I will stick to watercolors. But yeah, so this took quite a while to do, again, because I still have the same old camera that cuts out every half an hour. But it just, and then of course when the memory's full, I have to go and upload files to make room, so again, that whole process. But I didn't feel that rushed with this one, maybe because it was a very simplistic piece. There wasn't a lot of detail, and I didn't have to worry too much about having to do the highlights and the details at the end, and running out of time for those. I went with it, and I think that's why it came out so well, that I was super relaxed with this one. I don't think it's my best piece ever, but I do really love it, maybe because it's so bright and colorful and eye-catching. And of course, yes, I do realize that the hot air balloon is completely disproportionate. It should be much larger and much higher up, but then you wouldn't get it in to shot. And that was kind of the idea, was that you should be able to see the colors on the hot air balloon. So in my head, it's just a very long teardrop shaped hot air balloon. So the most of the volume of the balloon is still further up. So just use your imagination. Come on, that's what I did. But yeah, like I said, I was really happy with it. And here, basically, I kind of made up for the fact that I didn't hardline by just doing these types of shadows and details in a darker shade of the same colors that I was using. So they were shadows and some detail without needing the crutch of the black pen or whatever kind of ink I was planning on using. And I also didn't use my normal white gel pen for highlights, which is also something that I heavily rely on normally. But anyway, so this is coming towards the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please check out all my links below, and I still have Skillshare classes running if you guys would like to sign up for some free months of that to check it out and experiment and catch some of my classes on there, as well as other artists. And also please feel free to check out my Etsy, my Facebook, and my Instagram. There'll be lots of changes coming up in the near future, so keep an eye on those. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great week, and please look out for the rest of my 52-week challenge pieces. Have a great one, guys. Bye!